Don't reinvent the wheel, they said. They were wrong. This is an Omni wheel. It's like a regular wheel, but with 22 extra wheels around the circumference. And what that enables is motion like this. Throw 3 of them together with a few motors and you can build a robot. This is part 2 in a series documenting how I'm building a robot to autonomously navigate tight indoor environments using a LiDAR scanner. In this video, sponsored by PCBWay, we'll take a look at the pros and cons of Omni wheels, what other options are out there for robot drivetrains, and finally, how we can create software to move them in any direction you want. But before getting to that, we have to go back about 20 months ago when I decided that this was a suitable way to mount an Omni wheel to a motor. At the time, it worked perfectly. The first prototype was cheaply made out of MDF and didn't weigh much. In fact, I think I still have the old frame lying around the studio somewhere. This prototype wasn't made to last. The second version of the robot was built out of 1/4-inch aluminium plates, and despite aluminium being a relatively light metal, the robot got heavy, fast. All this weight meant that a substantial torque was applied directly to the shaft of the motor, which isn't great for longevity. It's like climbing a mountain in a pair of Crocs. You could technically do it, but you'd be a lot better off with the ankle support of a hiking boot. And that's not even the end of my struggles. Check this out. Taking it apart, I can see the source of this new issue. The bolt has bitten into the axle. Over time, these cuts have given the wheel room to rock back and forth, making it looser and looser. So that's our mission, to build a better drivetrain to mount these Omni wheels on. By supporting the axle with 2 flange bearings, the load is applied through this U-channel frame instead of directly on the motor axle. I also learned from my mistake, and with a bit of grunt work, I flattened the bolt to avoid cutting into the axle. There's still some slop originating from the planetary gearbox, but there isn't much I can do about that without splashing cash. Overall, it's looking a lot better. But why am I using Omni wheels in the first place? To answer that, we have to head to the computer. Other options I could have considered using are tank drives, 2-wheel drives, swerve drives, and mechanism wheels. Unfortunately, I don't have the time or budget to build these systems, so instead, we'll live vicariously through our storytelling companion, Google Image Search. The first option is a classic tank drive, where the wheels on one side are driven in unison and the wheels on the other side are driven in unison. This configuration offers high speeds and torque. However, for a robot like mine that operates in an indoor environment, these qualities are less important than having a high agility, making the tank drive unacceptable for my design. A more agile option is a 2-wheel drive with a single caster wheel. This is an option I seriously considered. It's cheap, agile, and easy to program. However, it's very susceptible to being pushed off course by small bumps to the side. I've used a 2-wheel drivetrain in this simple line-following robot, and it's an option I suggest you consider if you want something affordable and easy to program. Let me know if you'd like a video about building a beginner robot like this one. Going for even more maneuverability, we have a swerve drive. These beautiful machines have an additional motor on each wheel that enables individual wheels to pivot on the spot. In a vacuum, where money, mechanical maintenance, and the robot weight were not considerations, this would be an excellent choice with maximum agility. However, real-world considerations slap this drivetrain down from its pedestal. Another contender is mechanism wheels. This is a very similar option to Omni wheels, except that the rollers are at 45 degrees. A strong argument could be made for using these over Omni wheels, but I ultimately decided against them as the circular robot profile is more visually appealing and using 3 wheels is noticeably cheaper when each wheel is around $60, motors are $50, and the additional hardware is at least a few dozen more. The final option is Omni wheels, which offer great agility in tight spaces. However, they have reduced torque and are limited by dirt and any obstacle larger than a power cable. This means taking my robot outside probably wasn't the greatest idea I've ever had. Now that we've ruled out the competition, let's go install this new drivetrain. To mount the new drivetrains on the robot, the base has to be machined with new mounting holes. Unfortunately, these new holes conflicted with the existing holes, so the frame had to be rotated by 30 degrees. You'll have to forgive the Swiss cheese aesthetic. Speaking from experience, sharp corners, soft wires, and vigorous vibration from mechanical components don't play well together. To protect against unwanted wire cuts, I 3D printed these grommets out of flexible filament. I'll quickly throw in a battery and we should be ready to drive. So, how do we control this? For that, we're going to require some electronics. This is an MD10C motor driver. And what I have here is 3 motor drivers and an Arduino Nano wired together. If you've ever wanted to fabricate your own PCBs that look as good as these commercial ones, then you should check out this video's sponsor, PCBWay. PCBWay offers an amazing service for quickly manufacturing high quality and affordable custom PCBs. I've used their service around a dozen times, and each time the PCBs have turned out amazing. PCBWay offers 10 PCBs for only $5 with a short 24-hour turnaround time. If you're just getting started, I have an entire tutorial series on how to design PCBs that you can follow along. So when you're ready, head over to PCBWay to bring your designs to life. With the electronics all set up, I can upload a program to send different PWM signals to the motors. Okay, so we can control the motor speed, but we still can't get the robot to drive in a straight line. This is going to require some nerd sweat. Here I have a representation of the robot. I've just chosen to find the forward direction in the positive x-axis and the left direction in the positive y-axis. So to move forward along the x-axis, we would want to spin this wheel 1 in the forward direction, wheel 2 in reverse, and wheel 3 also in reverse. To move towards the left, wheel 2 would be moving in reverse and wheel 3 would be moving forward, while wheel 1 does nothing but just slide back and forth along its rollers. Expressed algebraically, the equations of motion look like this, and written in matrix form, they look like this. I'm skipping over the derivation of these equations, but if you want to check out a full derivation, I recommend this video from Northwestern Robotics. To get the robot following these equations, I've written a small program on the Arduino that drives around in a square. To see how I migrated these equations on the whiteboard to lines of code, check out the project repo on GitHub. This is starting to look really good, but not perfect. You'll notice that the robot drifts a little bit. This is because we're running in an open loop. Or said another way, I'm sending a PWM signal to the motors, but I receive no information on the true RPM of the wheels. To improve this, we want to run in a closed loop, where we collect data from the motor encoders to accurately control the speed of the wheels using a PID controller. I'll be covering how to accurately control motor speed in an upcoming video, but in the meantime, if you aren't familiar with encoders, I'd recommend you check out this video, in which I provide a complete overview on what encoders are and how to use them. But for the moment, I'll cut the video here. We have the robot in a pretty good spot to continue adding more features in future videos. Feel free to leave any questions you have in the comments down below. I'll see you in the next one.